find Mick Harvey in a reflective mood on his new album, 5 Ways to Say Goodbye, where he mixes old favorites by the likes of Marlene Dietrich, Lee Hazelwood, and Neil Young, along with new compositions. The album follows his recent collaboration with Mexican songstress Amanda Acevedo, released just a few months earlier. So what's brought on this creative outburst?
It seems like this big flurry of stuff, but it's an awful lot of stuff that was being produced whilst the lockdowns were on, and then so there's all these projects, and they sort of backed up, and then I had to put some of them on the back burner, and so they're all just kind of coming out now.
Yep.
It's like multiple albums.
So you haven't been furiously recording every day for the last 3 years?
Not in the last year, no. No, it was all, I mean, I mixed this back in, when did I mix it? Just sometime last year after I got back from it. It must have been in October last year. And I knew that this was the kind of timeline. Oh, look at that. A good, nice bit of
I like that.
there.
That's a good
That's
look.
Good. Yeah.
Kind of a flock of seagulls thing going on there.
not quite as thick, but but I'd already had. So when I did the album with Amanda, the Phantasmagoria and Blue thing, so I'd been recording both albums, and actually all the strings on both the recordings were done at the same time.
Oh, cool.
So they're done in March 2022,
right?
So which is now more than 2 years ago, and I suppose I just waited up and went, well, both albums are kind of recorded. Which one will I prioritize to do first? And I just decided it'd be more interesting to do the duets album with Amanda first, and I think that was the right decision. It kind of makes perhaps arguably even a bit more interest around the fact that there's also just a solo album.
Right. Yep.
Because there was something quite different beforehand. Anyway, you make these decisions, and you couldn't, like my record label and my own sanity wouldn't allow me to finish both albums sort of at the same time and release them both. They're very close together.
Yep.
So I just put this one, I just put 5 Ways to Say Goodbye on the back burner, and it's only how many months is this? It's only really 8 months since Phantasmagoria and Blue came out.
So this is being advertised or promoted as a 5-part series. Always the case, or was it just turned into that?
Well, I mean, the thing is, I've mentioned the fact that it is kind of a continuation of that series of recordings, and whether people had picked up on that thread or not in the past was something that I hadn't alerted people to the fact that there was actually a bit of a series of stuff going on. So if they hadn't picked it, now I've mentioned it, then everyone picks up on it.
Right.
It's a bit like so it gets into the press release and all that sort of stuff, which is fine.
Right.
It's fine. It's probably high time, because I have had people say, it just occurred to me actually, I have had people say, that my solo career is unwieldy and a bit confusing, and for me, it's not at all.
Right.
There's these soundtrack albums, works of soundtrack music that I've been doing. There's the Gainsbourg albums that I've been doing. And then there's these other albums of originals and covers and things that I'm like working on in collaboration with other people, which are over there. They're certainly not the Gainsbourg stuff.
Right.
And they're certainly not the film soundtrack stuff. And I didn't realize it was so confusing for people.
Well, there's a lot to take in.
But apparently it is. Apparently I'm confusing. So I suppose that spelled it out. Then it kind of made it clear. And if you look at the timeline, obviously there's One Man's Treasure, Two of Diamonds, Three Sisters Live at Bush Hall. So you could argue that Sketches from the Book of the Dead is actually the third one, but it's not really, because it's all original.
Right.
It's all original songs. So it's actually kind of steps out of that system. So then there's 4 Acts of Love and then 5 Ways to Say Goodbye. So I've been numbering them the whole time.
Yes. Very cool. Well, that makes sense. That's
very annoying of me to do that.
Well, if you're numbering it, how hard is it to keep track of it? It's
very fussy and Virgoan of me to number them all. I love it.
So the original songs, like for instance, it opens with a song called At Heaven's Gate, which is one of yours.
Yes.
When you're writing these songs, do you think this is part of the series? This is going to go with some covers?
Well, no, not really. Not really, no. I mean, the songs I write, so I'll have songs that I'm writing that are around, and I don't use all of them, and I kind of use them when I feel like they fit with what's happening. So, uh, At Heaven's Gate was actually written for the Sketches from the Book of the Dead project
Right.
originally, and it was a version of that song that I dispensed with lyrically and wrote a new one, and then I decided I didn't like the recording and didn't use it on Sketches from the Book of the Dead, and I came across the original lyrics in my notebooks a couple of years ago or a few years ago, and thought, why did I rewrite the lyrics? These are much better. so so then I wrote the music and I wrote the song like pretty spontaneously at that point. So it wasn't written specifically for this project. No, in fact, nothing was really. Oh, actually, I was about to tell a lie there now when I think about it. I mean, the thing is that in putting together the songs for the record, so I had a few songs that I'd done and a couple of things I dabbled with and a couple of songs I'd written. And I suppose at some point I realised the overarching theme was this kind of idea of farewells or saying goodbye to things or moving, like departures or finishing things. So it kind of gave a guideline for what other things or what other songs I could approach, which was actually great because there were a few there that were songs that I'd never dared approach, which actually really fitted with the theme. So and then it did lead to me writing that one last song. So I think I was actually having a discussion with Amanda about some stuff as we do. She's in Mexico,
Right.
So we chat, and I just said. I was just talking about the state of being.
Yep.
She's pretty young.
Yep.
I'm pretty old. I said, well, and I just ended up that like straight after that call writing When We Were Beautiful and Young. So,
Yep.
and was working on the birthday party documentary at the same time. So
Right.
it was kind of I suppose there was a kind of retroactive thought pattern going on with, looking back at history and not trying to be particularly melancholy about it, but just acknowledging the passage of time and the changes and the things that happened, and just that's part of the journey.
Yep.
In a way.
So
I did actually write that song
Uh-huh.
with this project in mind.
Yeah.
But it came out just it's quite a unique song in the collection.
And production wise, you use a lot of strings. You mentioned the strings. What is that all about? Why are you?
Look, I was just in a particular. Somehow, I kind of entered into the project with Amanda and the songs that I was recording there for this 5 Ways to Say Goodbye album, and it felt like that's just what I wanted to do sonically. I wanted to keep a kind of very open thing with the music. Occasionally there's drums and a bit of a band, but a lot of the time it's very reduced. But I wanted there to be some really simple tonality with it. Just that kind of sound, and the feel of that sound is something I wanted to have in the work that I was doing. I felt it really fitted.
Yep.
So that's kind of what I did. I mean, you just make those decisions, and they're a bit inexplicable. Sometimes they're not. There's not a particular concept behind them. There's just like a gut feeling about how you want the music to sound, how you want the effect of the music to be, and you just end up in that place, and that's the way you do it instead of I mean, I don't think a Four to the Floor rock band would really have suited this material that well. So, when I was looking at the material across the broader spectrum, it was like, well, that would be a really nice approach to the whole, all this stuff that I'm working on. So anyway, you're going to ask something.
Oh, The Art of Darkness, is that a string quartet rather than an orchestra?
It is, but for the most part, it's kind of doubled part. It's written as a string quartet, and live I play with a string quartet when I can get that together. And it sounds beautiful live, because a string quartet's also got that delicate kind of transparent thing about it too, where it's not too big, and it's kind of got
some space.
It's got space, but it's also got a fragility to it, and it can be really beautiful to work with. So and it's also really simple. Then like the tours that are coming up. I mean, the Australian tour that we did the first shows, I had a band and the string quartet, and by the end in Australia, after like before New Zealand, actually, it was just me and a quartet with Amanda. And that was it. So it really kind of took away these other elements of the songs, and I had a few things in backing loops and stuff when it was really helpful. But a lot of the time, the songs is just me playing. It's very reduced, just down to that thing, and that creates a whole new way of playing too. You have to play differently when you're in that sort of situation. But then when we came to New Zealand, I think the whole idea of getting a string quartet, there wasn't time. Like every day, we would have had to turn up.
I know some good string players next time.
Well, no. We had the violinist that was, and she was great. And I think in outside Napier, there was a cellist.
Oh, right.
We got a cellist in, and that was really good. So but it was a lot looser and but really good. That was brilliant doing that.
Right. Now, so you just did you do an album launch show in Melbourne this last weekend?
I did really short notice. I think most people couldn't get to it. It was like, go on. It's like they saw it that morning, because I realised that I was just going away and I hadn't done anything about doing any shows. So I thought I should just do a little bit of a launch for my friends. Really. It's more for my friends.
Sure. Oh, that's all right. Now I have to ask
you
about
my mum actually turned up. So it was a kind of very impromptu. It was a very impromptu album launch, and just by myself, just completely solo. But
cool.
I was actually thinking later that night that perhaps what I should do is announce my Australia. So I run a small gallery. I run with my partner. I run a small gallery in West Melbourne.
Yeah,
and it's a space. I suppose if I put a few people in there at the back, probably still get 30 or 35 people in there seated.
Yeah.
So I think my Australian tour is just going to be a residency there for a month.
Nice. Yeah.
Just do 3 nights a week, and
you're home.
And I'm just around the corner. Just set it up,
roll into
the residency, charge enough to pay the string players, and just and say Australian tour, and just list the dates, and it's just like it's the same place. Say Australian tour, you come to me.
Right. That works.
It's your Australian tour. You have to come to me. So anyway, I might do that later, but probably August, September or something.
Cool. Now, I got to ask you about "Like a Hurricane," one of my favorite songs.
Well, there you go. I mean,
how did you approach that? Because that's a monster.
In this day and age, that would have been once upon a time that would have been intended as an extra track,
right?
Because and it's not on the vinyl, but of course these days the digital sort of what do you say? It trumps the vinyl by a long way.
Right.
So it actually ends up being on the digital release, so then it's just on the album.
Yep,
so that was I kind of didn't think of that. So it was intended as a kind of bonus track.
I gotcha.
And it's a great song, and it is very much about it's like about the original's about leaving someone basically, isn't it? So not being able to be together with someone. So it's a farewell song of sorts.
Yeah.
And mine obviously is much more retroactive, and whereas in the past tense. So this is something that I tend to do, is kind of switch the lyrics around or use them as God intended, to be personalized for the singer. And so it fitted with my story, and the reason I wanted to do that song, that it was really in the past tense. And of course I just went into it and just stripped it back as much as possible, because there was no point kind of recreating it is a Crazy Horse version basically, isn't it?
It was originally on American Stars or Bars.
But it's Crazy Horse. I'm pretty sure it's Crazy Horse playing, so it certainly sounds like it. And it's great. It's always been one of the favorite Neil Young songs. It's one of his most loved songs, I think. Actually,
'tis indeed.
It seems to be. I mean, he even when he did Glendale in Melbourne, he just did that, and he did the whole of Glendale, and then he did like 2 or 3 songs at the end, and one of them was Like a Hurricane. So he obviously knows that people That's like a big song for people. So,
and he's still out there he's got the horse up there going again and playing out. And he's
are
got
they?
Bill's Locker. Yeah, it's touring right now. It never ends.
No, it doesn't. Well, I mean, this is the thing with being a musician. You know, you don't really retire unless you're Billy Joel, and and then you have to ask what does that mean? I mean,
Right.
so what does that tell you about that? I mean, people, in music, you kind of keep going. I mean, there's nothing to stop you. You just keep.
Do you see yourself ever stopping?
Well, no. I mean, I could be doing other things and doing less music, but I think I would just continue doing music. Oh.
All right. Now, Dirt Nap Stories with Lee Hazelwood. You got Amanda on that one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty dark song.
It is. I mean, honestly, when I heard that, it's from his last or second last album. I can't remember now. And I heard that and I thought, God, that is the most depressing song I've ever heard in my life. It's like, I mean, sometimes I'm quite impressed by that to a point of finding, like, it's so shocking that it almost makes you laugh, and it's like so affronting. And I think that's great. I mean, I suppose I'm one of those people who prefer to approach that kind of subject and just be with it and kind of not run away from it. And most people find that quite difficult. I've realized most people don't really. They just want to. They don't want to go into that. They want to change the subject and say, "Why do you want to talk about that?" But I think that's exactly why you should be talking about it, and you need to kind of. You need to have a relationship with that. So in a way, ever since I first heard that song and thought this is the most extremely depressing song I've ever. No, it's not even just depressing. It's really confronting, and in a really strong way. And I just saw that, and then there you go. You see, once I was doing a song about goodbyes, then it's like, well, I can actually think about doing a version of Dirt Nap Stories because it fits with the theme, and it's I wouldn't say it's a favorite song of mine, but it's a song that I think is one of the most simply powerful songs I've ever heard. It's so kind of amazing, and it just sits there subtly, kind of brooding away. It doesn't kind of hit you in the face. It's just, if you listen into it, then it's alarming and a bit shocking. But it could just be on in the background. You could ignore it probably, because it just floats along. And no, but that was it was very nice to be able to kind of do a version of that and find a way for that to get into my oeuvre or whatever.
And I was looking at my record collection and I realized Mick Harvey is right next to Lee Hazelwood.
There you go. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, that's nice.
So that was easy.
He's right next to PJ Harvey too.
And PJ is on the other side. Yes, absolutely. Very good. Now, one of the great things about collections like this is the discovery for someone like me. I never heard of Lo Carmen before.
Right.
She's an Australian Americana artist, apparently, but now I'm going to an actress.
She's an actress. Well, she was in some quite prominent Australian movies back in the 80s, I think, in the mid to late 80s, with Noah Taylor. Do you know who Noah Taylor is? You've heard. So they were in a movie called The Year My Voice Broke, and a couple of other. Oh, there's my cat, and she's more recently just been doing music more than that. She's stopped getting kind of offers for role, and it's difficult for actors, Somehow she was no longer young, and I think people. I'm totally guessing about this. People kind of typecast her as being this teenage ingenue or something like that.
Right.
And so, she does get some acting roles still, and she's a good actor. So, but she's also just been working a lot in music lately, and she's just an old friend of mine. So, and I'll always love that song, and it's actually the one song probably that is just not on the theme at all.
Right.
And that's why it's not actually on the vinyl either. So it's like a bonus track as well, effectively.
Oh, okay.
So Nashville High and Like a Hurricane were actually intended as bonus tracks. So the official album track listing is actually what's on the vinyl.
Okay. All right.
In my mind. Although
Yes,
it
I
just doesn't
understand
work like that. Just doesn't work
No.
like that. So the
Everything's
song,
changing.
I was very, very happy to do the song, and there it is, right in the middle of the album. So it was the
Right.
only place for it to go. So, but it's not really on the theme. It's the one song that's not really on the theme of Farewells.
All right. So you're heading off to Spain to begin with for this kind of
Yeah,
European
I'm
tour.
off to Europe. I'm off to
Yeah.
Europe for like we're touring for across about basically across a month from the 14th to the 14th. I think the shows are so.
Right. And are they solo shows? What are you
Well,
going to be
no,
doing?
it's me and Amanda
With
with
the
a string
you and
quartet,
Amanda. Oh, okay, they're great.
with a
Okay,
quartet everywhere.
nice one.
Supposedly, we'll see how that goes.
Do you have to pick them up as you go along?
Yep. Some places they'll be doing 3 or 4 shows with us, and some places will just be a one-nighter.
Right.
When we've flown in or whatever we've done. So it'll be a variant from place to place, but essentially, we're picking people up as we go around. Certainly not traveling with a whole string quartet. That would be rather
Right. Yeah,
expensive.
that would be financially
Accommodation,
unfeasible.
travel,
Very
the
good.
whole business.
And I noticed when you played here at the Tuning Fork, you're very accessible. You get out there amongst the crowd and all that. Do you enjoy that part of being on the road?
I don't mind it. I mean, I would probably be just as happy to sit backstage and chat with the band and my friends. But
Right.
it's also fine going out the front. In these days, you kind of go out there, and it's good. The albums are there, and people want stuff signed and stuff, and that's really it's nice to have that engagement. I really don't mind doing that at all. So, but
Yeah.
it becomes part of the night. So it's like an extra 20
Yep.
to 30 minutes work at the end of the night. You could see it that way, but it's actually usually really nice, and people are respectful, and it's all cool.
Yeah.
So I like doing that.
Oh, that's
The
cool.
personal touch.
Yes, exactly. Because
Yeah.
you probably didn't do that back when you were starting out with.
Well, no, not at all.
Birthday
Well,
Party and all that.
you didn't really have merch. I mean, nobody thought of doing that. That would have been great. We should have been doing that back then. Just
Could have
taking
made some money.
boxes of records around, flogging your records at the shows. Yeah, it would have been great. I don't know why we didn't think it. Nobody used to do it then. I guess people had T-shirts and stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's never been my forte, that kind of thing, marketing and
All right.
commerce.
So do you have to get yourself in shape anyway to prepare for a trip on the road?
What, like Mick Jagger doing lots of running
Well,
through the
I think Mick
woods?
Jagger's always getting in shape, so easy.
Well, I swim, so I swim 2 or 3 times a week. So I'm okay. I'm
good.
kind of ready to go. I should be kind of ready to go. In fact, I probably get more out of shape once I'm on tour,
Right.
because I don't get to exercise as much, and I probably drink more than normal.
But speaking of Mick Jagger, I don't know. Do you see the video of him singing "Time Is on My Side" with Irma Thomas?
No.
It's amazing. So he's 80, she's 83. It's the first time Irma was the first one to do the song back in '64 or whatever. And here they are in their 80s performing it in, I think they were in New Orleans or someplace for the first time. It's freaking amazing. So there's something to be.
Check it out.
And I'm a big fan of Ian Hunter, who is also older than Dylan, and he's
still around. He's still with us, is he, Ian Hunter?
Yes, he just made a new album last week, or whatever.
Really? Okay. I thought maybe he'd gone. I'm thinking of Mick Ronson or something.
No, Mick Ronson's gone.
Yeah, I know that, but I thought maybe Ian Hunter had gone too. If you'd asked me,
he had to take himself off the road because he's got tinnitus in his hearing.
Sure. Me too.
But yeah, I'm sure you do.
It's like occupational hazard. It's just whether you let it get to you or not, I think.
Yep. Well, that's kind of what he said. It's just a matter of attitude and how you deal with it.
Come here.
Oh.
Come on. Come here.
Is this your kitty?
Come here, kitty. There you go. Come on. Come here. Come on.
There you go.
There you go. There you
And
go.
what is
That's
Kitty's
the cat.
name?
This is Misha,
Misha. Very good.
which is basically Russian for Mick. But he was named by my son, not me. So I'm not kind of go on some kind of ego trip there. He's being very affectionate here. He doesn't realize somebody else is looking.
Hey.
Look at that. There you go. That's a special. It's a Marty's Music Talk special.
It is indeed. This will be the promo
So do you
right
put
here.
this out as an audio, or do you do it as
Audio,
video?
video, the whole thing.
All right.
Both.
So there you go. This will be a hit.
Obviously,
He gets a lot of love on Instagram. This chap.
Oh, good.
Don't you?
He looks like he deserves it.
Yeah, look at that.
And he knows it.
He's
As they
blissing
do.
out here.
Uh,
He just wants
all
more
right.
food, actually. But anyway, sorry. So,
All right.
anything else you'd like to ask me?
I think that's everything. You better feed the cat.
Yeah. Well, he's looking quite relaxed now.
No, look at his glare.
What are you looking at? He's purring. He's purring.
Oh, good.
Away. There you go. Nice.
I can hear it.
Yeah, people will like
Beauty.
that. So,
Excellent.
okay, no, thanks for talking to me, Marty. I've got another interview in like 10 minutes. So,
yep, have a great tour.
Something with
Thank you for
someone
the
in
record.
Sydney. Yeah, no, thanks for your interest and I think the record's really nice. I hope people like it. It's a good album, I think.
Yep.
It's kind of a little bit of a pair, that I mean, it and Phantasmagoria Blue kind of create a bit of a.
Yep.
It's like they're like twins or something. They're connected somehow in my mind permanently. So they really came into being at exactly the same time, and you can imagine doing the strings and kind of doing songs, alternating songs from the different projects.
Absolutely,
it was all mixed up.
And I imagine that's what the shows are like, right?
But there will be a bit like that. Yeah, these upcoming shows will be now that my album's out. Yeah, there'll be much more. So we were doing the duet shows, and then now we weren't doing very many songs from my stuff. So now it'll be kind of a big mixture. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, great. Thanks, Marty.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.